Japan has a problem. Nuisance tourists and streamers who come to the country, treating it like their own personal playground, taking advantage of Japan's hospitality, then leaving, seemingly without facing any consequences, or even worse, profiting while doing so. While not every incident is malicious and comes from a place of ignorance or by making a simple mistake, the effects have been clear to see, with streets in Kyoto becoming private and shrines closing their doors to tourists after its grounds were desecrated. With these stories dominating the headlines, locals are left frustrated at a lack of accountability, and hopeful future travelers are concerned that they will not be able to visit Japan without being judged by the actions of others. The most recent example seeing Japan's beautiful Sakura trees being disrespected during the peak blooming season, which made not only the Japanese headlines but also international news. Shibuya Kaho, a Japanese influencer and popular Twitch streamer, spoke out about the incident in a post that resonated with both Japanese and people all around the world. I sat down with Kaho to ask what Sakura meant to her, the importance of respectful travel, and the rise in nuisance travelers.
So thank you for coming down, Kaho.
Thank you.
So recently there's been quite a lot of issues of nuisance or like troublemaking foreigners and also streamers in Japan.
Right.
And you actually commented on a very recent one that involved some Sakura trees. Basically they were using it like gym equipment, shaking down the pedals.
Because it was somebody I actually met. People I met. Somehow, people try to get into drama and focus on only one person, but there are at least 3 people doing it, and so that hurt me more because there are a few people there, not just one individual. Right. So no one tried to stop it. No one, questioned oh, this might not be a good behavior. So that kind of made a bigger impact just to myself. And I've always seen, of course, a nuisance, especially tourists. Of course, there are a lot of nuisance, local nuisances too, but it's been more evident that a lot of tourists, because somehow Japan has been a popular destination to a lot of people, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
But I guess, that brings a lot of people who are not sure about the cultural differences. So that's probably the reason why it caused such a problem. And I've always wondered, I know a lot of non-Japanese people living here or coming here, and I've always kind of worried, what if it happened, or I've seen somebody I know doing it.
Right.
So it actually happened, and that was a big deal to me personally.
I think not only yourself, but many people realized what was doing was wrong, because not only in Japan, but around the world, I think over 5 million people or more saw that post. And but one of the things that I heard some people saying, and that people might not understand if they're from another country, is they're saying, well, it's just a tree. What's the big deal? Is it true that Sakura trees are just a tree?
Okay, Sakura trees definitely has more significance than just a tree. But honestly, me personally, if somebody was doing the same thing to just a tree, just a normal tree, not necessarily a Sakura tree, I would definitely frown upon them, for sure. Personally.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of common sense, although common sense is a little bit not so common these days. But you wouldn't go to Holland and roll around in the tulips, for example, or you go to someone's house and they ask you to take your shoes off. You just do it because you're trying to be polite.
And you wouldn't climb on a tree unless you're a kid. If you're a kid, understandable. I don't think it's nice to climb up on a tree and do some tricks when you're a big enough person. Not when you're grown up.
Yeah, right. I couldn't get away with it. I'm
very tall.
Yeah.
But I guess it's not a okay behavior. But Sakura trees are, it just carries more significance to locals here in Japan. And initially, I was so shocked to see the video, and I was like, oh my god, I got worried actually. Oh, they might get canceled.
Really?
And then I saw the comment. I don't know what time I saw the post. I don't know if it was right after they posted it. I don't know, because I usually check my smartphone in bed before going to sleep, so I wasn't really checking the details. But when I saw the post, I got worried, and then checked the comment to see if they got any hateful comment, and some comment were, oh, cool. So actually, I got disappointed. When I first saw the video, I was worried first, and then got disappointed by the post of people not knowing that it's not okay. And then I kind of pondered, oh, what should I do? Finally happened. Somebody I know or people I know I met doing it. Should I what should I do? And it kind of took time for me. Like, I was not sure in the beginning, like it was my first time.
Right.
Something like that happened.
Yeah, because I guess some people might think it's just flowers or something, but Sakura, they're so short-lived. It's like at a very ephemeral time of the year, and also it signifies both the end and the beginning in a lot of places. So
New Year for your school
and
or
work.
office, everything that started from this season. Like, everyone's kind of looking forward to this is the beginning of your new life, like a new lifestyle.
Yeah, so it's almost like you're shortening the opportunity for them to experience that very significant part of their life, especially for young Japanese, I think.
Yeah, and it's very delicate tree too.
Yeah, like Sakura branches are actually, they're very easy to break. I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't break. So I guess that's kind of fortunate. But other people have done this obviously as well.
Right.
It's actually a fairly common occurrence. But I have been seeing more like signage and English things in particular around Kyoto and Osaka and other places. So I think people are learning.
Yeah, and there is also a job called Sakura Mori. Like the kanji itself is like Sakura and protect.
Yeah,
so like a protector of Sakura.
Exactly.
So there is such a job to begin with. Like, I think it's definitely a learning opportunity and not really like attacking opportunity. Well, I think the significance is more about, okay, now we get to learn. Now we get to like influence others that it's not okay.
Yeah.
So that's necessarily the point. I was really sad, like it became more like a drama at some point,
Right.
you know, got to create a drama, but it was really not. And
Do you think that people were like kind of taking your opinion and then like associating with a different argument entirely, like it's just about like drama or something?
Like, oh, you guys should be friends, or kind of like that's not really the point. And
No, I think that friends have a responsibility to tell people not to do things, because you never listen to a stranger, right? You only really listen to your friends. So I think that calling out your friends can be very healthy.
definitely, I mean, actually, it became kind of a personal too, because like some other people got worried and like they try to talk to them, and then I saw some of the responses that included my name too, and I kind of got personal too. So it's like it's nice to have those like objective opinions, and then like, them making opinions, like posting those, like really, I think it's helped the post grow in a better way, and then eventually we got like a public statement, and then raise some awareness.
Right.
So I was very very grateful of like those, not necessarily a supporting argument or anything. It's just like an argument growing separately from the drama.
Right. A lot of people have been asking me, and have been commenting online as well, that now they're worried that if they come to Japan, maybe they'll make a mistake, and they feel like they'll be treated like a nuisance foreigner, or like they might be on a YouTube expose, or like international incident or TV. Do people need to be afraid about making mistakes in Japan?
Not necessarily in Japan. Like if you're going to foreign country, I guess you want to learn basic skills, like basic, just social cues.
Yeah.
Like I try to do that. Like I travel a lot too for work, so I make sure like what's not allowed. Like, oh, you get fined for doing this. Like even jaywalk, like you won't get fined here. You see a lot of people jaywalking, but in some countries you get fined. You just have to know the basics.
People always say when in Rome, right? And I think if you just make a small effort to try and fit in, it goes a long way. And a small example might be something like when you see Japanese people get on a busy train, they've got like a backpack they put on their front. And it's not because they're worried about getting it stolen, it's because they don't want to bother anyone with banging into their bag. Or like, on the escalator, people always go on one side.
Yeah.
And if you just kind of, be mindful, look around and follow the example, I think you'd be okay in Japan, honestly.
The sad thing is, some people just have attacking people for making mistakes, or they don't want to make mistakes or either. It's more about raising awareness. The past was more about raising awareness, and not about attacking somebody, or not necessarily the nuisance, or what they call it, or like myself, because for some people, they're like, oh, how could you attack somebody, or something like that. They try to turn it into a drama, and it's not at the point. My feelings or their feelings do not matter. It's more about letting people know hey, it's not okay behavior, so you can learn from this.
It's pretty obvious what they were doing was a little bit naughty, but people do make mistakes.
Of course.
And do you think there's a place for forgiveness when people, like if someone makes a real effort, not only apologizing, but then going forward, their actions change.
That would be nice. It's not like, oh, you have to be like forgiven by food, like Japanese people or your Twitter followers. I don't know. I don't know who you're aiming at. I think it's more about acknowledging, and because those are influencers, you know, they can influence people. Their behaviors can influence. So,
yeah, it's true because, like, unfortunately, in the cherry tree situation, there was already some copycats.
Yeah.
And like some people are.
Those are different crowds.
Yeah.
You can say that for sure.
And some of them are just doing copycats specifically because they want to become infamous. Like they want to be like the next Johnny Somali or something.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious. I've noticed that a lot of these nuisance streamers in particular, and it is important to remember they're a minority. I think the vast majority, 99% of travelers are always, or not always, but usually good, right? But why do you think there's been so much attention in Asia and Japan specifically?
It's not really happening in other countries, or
It does happen in other countries, but Japan is kind of seen as like, and other like Korea and Philippines, they're seen as easy targets.
I think they think they wouldn't have to they wouldn't have to face consequences.
Yeah.
And most of the time, sadly, that's true. I guess, you know, I understand, again, like I said before, definitely understand the sentiment towards, like, oh, you got to be lenient towards tourists, they don't know.
Right.
But even somebody who is pretty sure like overtly doing it, like some streamers who got actually arrested. But,
I think that needs to happen a couple times until people kind of learn that it's not okay.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think Japan is very accepting. I've made so many mistakes when I live here, but people like try and tell me, and I try and be better every day.
I made a lot of mistakes in my life too. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, everyone makes mistakes, even Japanese people, right?
And some people actually got arrested, streamers like from foreign countries got arrested without knowing. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, it was not okay. And
I think, like I said, I kind of have a positive attitude about how things are getting better in certain ways. Because did you see there was the incident with Geiko in Gion that was being harassed by a woman that was trying to get her photo? I was actually in Gion a couple of days ago with some friends around, and we actually were lucky enough to see like I think it was 5 Geiko and Maiko, which is kind of rare, right? Like when you're walking around Gion. But nobody was like putting phones in their faces, and nobody was like chasing around or stopping them because, you know, when they're in their like full costume and everything, they're going to work, they're going to their job. So you're like interfering with them during their business hours. When these sort of things are exposed, and when people learn about why it's, they need to maybe take a step back and appreciate the culture more, I definitely think that the word is getting out and it's changing. Like for me, I've noticed that platforms are being faster to ban people that are engaging in nuisance content. The guy that was copycatting the Sakura incident, banned after one day.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and of course there's been 2 really big cases with Somali in being prosecuted in South Korea and Vitali in the Philippines. And I feel like after those cases go through, it'll kind of serve as a deterrent, and people will start, you know, maybe taking things a bit more seriously. Do you think Japan should change its laws to maybe be more strict?
maybe I think sometimes I find, or I think we find that police demeanor are kind of lenient towards the tourists, and I could understand it. It's like, okay, it's like they don't know. So yeah, I can understand the sentiment, but obviously, well, there's another sentiment on the other side, like, hey, like, why are you treating them differently? And then, yeah, that's kind of unfair, or like they have to learn, so like you have to let them learn by penalizing them. So I can understand both sides.
Right, right.
But this point is to let people know that, hey, this is not an okay behavior, and that's the reason why like posts going viral. Like I mean, I didn't think the post was going to go viral because I didn't post any photos or videos.
From your heart, and
right, and usually just unless like I'm posting a picture of myself showing a little bit cleavage, like not so many likes or retweets get. So I was seriously not expecting a lot of attention, and I'm kind of pleasantly surprised that it drew a lot of attention because that was the point. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was quite effective. They did apologize. It seems like at least they're trying to make an effort, and like I said, we have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
But I think that, this was, like I said, this post was very well received, not only by Japanese, but around the world, like 5 million people. That's an incredible amount of people saw this. And I think the majority did agree with you. It's just that there's obviously some people that like maybe they think it's just a tree, or they're like, well, this is just trying to get like drama starting or something. But no, like not everything is drama, not everything is content. Sometimes you just see someone doing something wrong, and you know it's bad, and you say, hey, don't do that. And that's the only way these things stop, because we were talking a bit earlier about why people are choosing Asia, why people are focusing on Japan for these things. It's because people in Japan don't press them. People in Japan don't say no because they don't want to disturb them, or maybe there's a language barrier. And people take advantage of that. And there's, in my opinion, taking advantage of people that are being nice to you is one of the worst things you can do to people. It's a very cowardly thing to do, to take advantage of someone who won't tell you to stop. So, no, I think people speaking out about it is the correct course of action. And like I said, I think we're seeing actual change. We got people being prosecuted in Korea, in the Philippines. We got people in Japan changing their behavior. And we have platforms. And I think that's one of the biggest things actually is platforms need to say this is not okay. Platforms are taking action, like banning people one day after when they're doing copycat behavior, specifically just to cause drama and just to cause infamy and like try and become like the next like Vitali or Johnny Somali. Do you have any like words of advice for people that want to travel to Japan responsibly?
Well, definitely check out what other people are doing. Definitely. Sometimes even like myself, being a local, I'm like, I want to take a photo of this. Is that okay? I look for the sign. Like there's no photo sign, or okay, there's no photo sign, or if there's a staff sign nearby, then I'm going to ask them, like, is it okay? Or if other people are not taking photos or videos, then I'm like, might not be okay. Just like, try to read the line, like just to try to read the room, atmosphere, because I think it's kind of like social requirement to read the atmosphere, like, being in Japan, like living in Japan. Like there are a lot of unwritten rules, which, not always helpful.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, you have to kind of do your best, but I don't think people need to worry about like coming over and making a mistake. If you make an earnest mistake, I think people understand that. But the country is like adding more signage in all different languages because Japan's becoming a more and more popular country to visit every year. And it is such a beautiful country. One of the things I think makes Japan a really great country to visit is it's a high trust society. Like I was just walking around the park here earlier and there was like a little kiosk. And you could buy like souvenirs, and there was no one working there. It was just an honesty box. So just put in your money and take a thing, and you trust people to do that. And those sort of things are just so wonderful to see. But every time one of these nuisance streamers or just a bad tourist does something, a little bit of that trust is eroded. And trust is one of those things that takes years to build, but seconds to destroy. Yeah, it's so fragile, almost like Sakura actually. Yeah. Do you have like a favorite time? Is Sakura like your favorite time to visit Japan or travel Japan or like in the seasons?
I love spring definitely. Summer is just hell here.
I actually kind of like summer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm from Australia though, so.
Oh, well, I mean, Hokkaido would be nice. Or some place like Karuizawa, kind of breezy. Tokyo is just, you're surrounded by people all the time. You can actually feel their sweat and you can also feel your sweat. It can be very disgusting, the humidity and the population. So spring is warm enough. I love it. I definitely want to check out a different type of cherry blossoms.
Oh yeah.
Because like in this one, the quintessential cherry blossom, but some bloom really early, like the beginning of March or the end of February, or like the next month, like a May. So, and they have all different shades of pink too.
Have you ever been to Yoshino?
I haven't yet.
Yoshino is really good. It's I think it's the best place in Japan to see sakura. It's a mountain, and it has 30,000 sakura trees, and there's all the different tiers on the mountain as well. So it blooms longer. Like usually it's like 2 weeks. It's because it's like higher elevation. They've also got like hundreds of different sakura trees. So my recommendation is Yoshino. And there's actually a really nice train you can take from Osaka, the Blue Symphony. And that's like a sightseeing train. It only costs like 1,000 yen. It's really good. And it has like a dining car and it's really, really good. That's my recommendation.
Cool. I'm going to keep note.
So where can people find you?
Oh, yeah, you can find me on Twitter/X. I still have a trouble calling it X.
Yeah, me too. I don't know.
I was really hoping that Elon Musk would change that.
Yeah, I think he's a bit stubborn about that.
I thought like he was kind of kidding, but he was not.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for...
Yeah, it's a very beautiful area. We're at the Kiyagi Incline.
Thanks again to Kaho for sitting down with me. Japan is a very special place that people all across the world want to visit, and it's not hard to see why. But it is also the home of its people and not your personal theme park. And when you visit someone's home, you follow their rules. Can you make a mistake when traveling? Absolutely. But provided it's an honest mistake and you try your best to take note and follow the example of those around you, then you really don't need to worry. Japan is a beautiful country, and let's keep it that way by respecting its people and their customs. After all, we are their guests.